The Mazepins, Nikita and Dmitry. Could we ever see them back in Formula 1? Let's find out. Now obviously, the situation in Russia caused Haas to drop Nikita Mazepin, as his father, Dmitry Mazepin, was the owner of a Russian fertilizer company called Uralkali, and he was one of Putin's most trusted, so much so that he was name-checked in the sanctions against Russia and Putin. In the end, this meant Mazepin lost his backing from Uralkali. This also meant that he had no value for Haas, as Nikita Mazepin was a pay driver, paid for by his dad's company. And in his rookie year, he didn't really impress anyone at all. If anything, most people were happy to see Nikita leave F1 for good. Now, just before he was fully sacked, many countries had already said that they didn't want a Russian driver in their country for races and Grand Prix. So even if Nikita stayed at Haas, the team would be on the back foot, as now they need another driver. In the end, Haas cut all ties with the Mazepin family and the Uralkali brand. This can be seen when comparing the two liveries they used during pre-season testing. On one day, it was pretty much just the Russian flag on an F1 car, and the next day, a sleek-looking white livery. They should really just use this, it looks awesome in my opinion. That leads us to today, with Russia still being sanctioned and the Mazepins out of a drive. After Nikita had been sacked, he sort of posted this video online. And let's just say he didn't sound too happy. Here's a clip.
Hey everybody, as you know, I have lost my contract to compete in the Formula 1 World Championship this year. At first, the FIA, the highest governing body, has allowed me to compete.
But then, the team has cancelled my contract. Because of this, I have decided to make...
Blah blah blah. Now you can see that Nikita was hurt by what Haas did to him, and he thought that he was treated unfairly. So that got me thinking, does he deserve another shot at F1 if this all blows over? Let's find out. Now, as I said earlier, Nikita Mazepin's rookie season didn't blow pretty much anyone away, but I want to look at the more positive side of his F1 career. Just kidding, there are no positives here. I'm sorry, Nikita. So let's go back a little bit further, where he had a little bit of success in Formula 2. The FIA Formula 2 World Championship, Wild West of Motorsport, the deceptively named Spec Series, which is far from equal. Howdy, partner. You ain't from around these parts. What's your name? Your name is a decent result for Nikita Mazepin? How strange. It just can't be. Why didn't you tell me about yourself? I can't do his accent anymore, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be a cowboy or something like that. But anyway, we continue. In this here series, Mazepin found some moderate success. A highlight for him would be the 2020 Sakir sprint race, where Mazepin dove down the inside to take the race lead at turn 1. Then, Yuki Tsunoda comes back at him, and Mazepin pulls off a bold maneuver, to say the least. And then he does the same thing to Zhou Guanyu. He then eventually finishes in 3rd place. He also won 2 races that year, one of which was at Mugello. Here, by taking an alternative strategy and having some luck on his side, he went on to win the Tuscan feature race. He also won at Silverstone, where, to be fair to him, he pulled off a super move around the outside on Schumacher and built up a pretty big lead. And he then went on to win the race. I apologize for that. Hopefully Cowboys with Connor doesn't come back anytime soon. Now, a quick word from today's sponsor, Squarespace. It's the all-in-one tool to create a beautiful website. Whether you're an artist wanting to show your portfolio to the world, or create an online store to sell the next big clothing brand, or you can create an insightful but clean and sleek looking blog. Squarespace is the place for you. You don't even need to know how to code, you literally just drag and drop things and it looks so clean. So if that sounds interesting to you, head to squarespace.com using my link below, and then at checkout, use the code CarsWithConnor for 10% off your first domain name. What a deal. So yeah, check the link below. Thanks. Now onto the question of whether Mazepin will return to F1 after looking at his 2020 Formula 2 career. Well, I thought I'd get some other opinions on the matter. So let me introduce to you my pre-race podcast co-host, Chris from CF Racing.
Hey guys, Chris here, otherwise known as CF Racing, and Cars with Connor asked me today to come on the channel and talk about whether I think Nikita Mazepin and his dad, or the Uralkali money and all that, can come back into Formula One in the future, or even at all. Long story short, I don't think it is relatively possible for the Mazepins or Nikita Mazepin or even Uralkali to come back, or Uralkali, whatever you pronounce it as, to come back into Formula One. And I just think what's happened with Ukraine, the whole way that Mazepin has exited the sport, along with the way that he even entered the sport with a lot of controversy, just makes it very hard for Nikita Mazepin to come back into Formula One. And even if he were to come back in Formula One, with just say without the Uralkali money, who would pick Nikita Mazepin up? I've seen Aldes say this, and he says, if you're a driver, you basically want to replace a driver or be an upgrade from a driver for another team. And I see no team on the grid right now that would take a chance or even want to have Nikita Mazepin over any other driver that's realistically in their driver pairing. For example, maybe the closest team would be Williams. They could replace Mazepin with Latifi, but I think Latifi's a more consistent and even quicker driver than Nikita Mazepin is, so there's no point in even adding Mazepin to a team like Williams. There's no way he goes to a top team, there's no way he goes to a midfield team, and there's definitely no way that he goes to a back marker team. The only way I could see it even potentially happening is if his dad actually creates a brand new 11th Formula One team, but I think that's highly unrealistic. So in my opinion, Nikita Mazepin is not going to come back into Formula One in the future.
Thanks to Chris for coming on and giving us his view on why Mazepin won't come back into Formula One anytime soon. Be sure to check him out in the link below. He does awesome simulation content, so check him out. Now, one thing Chris said that I hadn't even thought about is that Mazepin could buy his own team, or even bring in a new team. We know there's loads of interest for other teams and other manufacturers to make it into F1. We even had Michael Andretti in that little team principal dinner saying he wants to be there. Then we obviously have Audi or Porsche or one of those guys wanting to come into F1 by maybe 2024 at the earliest. So the future looks bright for F1 and the amount of teams we could have in it. But could one of these teams be a Mazepin Audi team, or a Mazepin Andretti, or even a Mazepin Porsche? In my opinion, it seems unlikely. And the reason is because we've seen him try and buy a team before. When Force India went into administration in 2018, 3 people were after that team. It was Lawrence Stroll, who obviously ended up buying it and turning it to Aston Martin and Racing Point and that nonsense. And then we had William Story. It is of course the CEO or ex-CEO or some sketchy guy from Rich Energy, the people who sponsored Haas and ran them into the ground. And then the final candidate was Dmitry Mazepin. And obviously he lost out to Lawrence Stroll. This shows that maybe he's not cut out to own an F1 team, or maybe he's just not rich enough compared to Lawrence Stroll. But yeah, those are my thoughts on if Nikita Mazepin could return to F1. Be sure to check out Chris and Squarespace in the link in the description. Use code CardsToConnor for 10% off. It really helps the channel. And with that said, I'd like to thank you for watching. I've been Connor, and I'll see you later. Bye.